This episode is brought to you by Shopify. Upgrade your business with Shopify, home of the #1 checkout on the planet. Shop Pay boosts conversions up to 50%, meaning fewer carts going abandoned and more sales going cha-ching. So if you're into growing your business, get a commerce platform that's ready to sell wherever your customers are. Visit shopify.com to upgrade your selling today.
This episode is brought to you by Honda. Introducing the all-new, all-terrain Honda Passport Trail Sport, the most off-road capable Honda Passport Honda has ever dreamt up. The Passport features increased ground clearance, roof rails on all trims, and available specially developed all-terrain tires. And you'll stay comfortable with tri-zone climate control and available features like heated and ventilated front seats and a panoramic moonroof. Learn more at honda.com/passport.
This is a Rogue Media Network podcast. Why, hello there, people. Welcome to Bois, a King of the Hill podcast. I'm Mike.
And I am once again still unchanged, still here.
It's still Rusty.
Still Rusty.
We are at season 7, episode 16, or in the year of our Lord 7 ABE 06, the Miseducation of Bobby Hill. We're on a slight Bobby Hill run here. The last one was about Bobby Hill. Our Friday was about Bobby Hill, and this episode is pretty much about Bobby Hill.
Pretty much about Bobby Hill. It was like a good little Bobby Hill run here.
This one was, it says, March 16th, 2003. Bobby and Joe Jack, while working at Strickland Propane, use unscrupulous tactics to win customers. Meanwhile, Bill floats all over Arlen after being tied to a lawn chair held up by balloons, and Peggy frets over liver medication. I don't remember Peggy fretting over liver medication in this.
Yeah, I don't remember that either.
I just watched this, and I do not remember that part. What do you expect? Huh. I think that's weird. I don't remember that part at all. Anyway, directed.
No. So on the second disc of season 7 DVD, incorrectly described the subplot of this episode about Peggy buying a liver cleansing supplement, thinking he's slowly killing her. But that's highly likely that was supposed to be the B story of the episode, but it got rejected and replaced with Bill's weather balloon thing.
Oh.
So they think that's just a typo on the Peggy description. That's cool. That's a cool little Easter egg.
Okay. All right. That is kind of cool.
Also, I'll wait. I got a cool little fun fact here in a minute when we get to it.
Okay. R. McLean J says, I think she pulls her groin trying to lift Bobby.
Yeah, probably.
Not sure about that. This is directed by Tricia Garcia and Clay Hall. The writers are Mike Judge, Greg Daniels, and Tim Croston, which I don't know Tim Croston, but that's a new name to me.
Yeah, he's an episode writer. From what I understand, this might be the only episode that he's written is this one. But his only credit is King of the Hill. He did 66 episodes as executive story editor, and he was Greg Daniels' assistant.
Oh, wow. Okay.
So he's been around for a while, around the whole King of the Hill show. He was there from 98 to 08, so he was part of 66 episodes.
Already says it's an entirely different episode where Peggy pulls her groin.
Yeah, very different.
All right, so we got the groin straight. All right, so we start off in the alley, and we see Bill and Boomhauer, and Dale comes in with a weather balloon. Hank's there as well. You see Dale come in with a giant weather balloon. He goes, Bill says, ooh, balloon. Whose birthday is it? Joseph's or Nancy's? No, wait, is it my birthday? Is it? And Hank says, Bill, it's a weather balloon, and your birthday is last week. Sorry, Bill. Happy belated birthday. I mean, they didn't even remember it was his birthday last week. And I'd like to point out, Bill didn't bring it up.
No, he didn't.
So he goes, oh, thank you, Hank. Dale says, I've got 18 more of these, a balloonist dozen. I don't know that that's the way it works.
What the hell a
Dale.
balloonist does.
Never heard of balloonist dozen. And then Boomhauer said, "Hey man, how about the dang old dude? The true story, man. Got him, got all them balloons up in a long chair, man, going about 16,000 feet. Bruce Dern played him in a dang old movie, man." Bruce Dern did play a guy who went up in a balloon. That was an actual movie.
Yeah, I was going to talk about that guy.
Go for it.
Okay, so yeah, Bruce Dern, real quick. Yeah, he's an actor or whatever. He was in a lot. He's been in a lot of good stuff.
Yes.
One of my favorite movies.
Laura Dern is his daughter.
Yeah, Laura Dern is his daughter. I was trying to think of one of his movies.
He was in A Durning We Will Go.
Nebraska. That was the one that I've seen him in recently. Nebraska.
He's crazy old man in Nebraska.
He was in Django Unchained, Small Soldiers, Wild Bill.
Yeah, he's been in a lot of stuff.
Yeah, he was. He's been active for a long time. But yeah, so there was a guy named Lawn Chair Larry. He had a dream of becoming a pilot his whole life, but he had bad eyesight, so he never did. So he became a truck driver instead. Well, when he was 13, he had this idea of flying into the sky using weather balloons after seeing them at a surplus store one time. So he's later on in life, he's like a grown man, now doing this. He's at a military store, and he goes in and he buys these huge balloons. He buys a pellet gun, and then he was going to float over the desert and then use the pellet gun to shoot the balloons. So he ended up getting 45 of these 8-foot balloons and some helium tanks, and attached all 42 of them to a chair. He grabbed a pellet gun, a CB radio, sandwiches, 2 liters of Coke, a pack of beer, and a camera. Never took any pictures, though. He never ended up taking any pictures, but he ended up getting to a height of about 16,000 feet and was spotted by 2 commercial airliners, actually, that were in the air. And he slowly drifted across Long Beach and ended up like drifting into like an airport area. Yeah. So he ended up like shooting a couple of the balloons to help lower himself down, but he ended up dropping the pellet gun. So his descent was just super, super, super slow. So he ended up getting caught in a power line on 423 East 44th Way in Long Beach. But he ended up getting arrested, and pretty much the FAA told him, or one of the regional safety inspectors or whatever in the area told him, well, we know you broke some type of FAA law. We don't know what it is, but we're going to figure it out. When we figure it out, we're going to, fine you. So he ended up getting fined like $4,000 for that. And it was some violations under the federal aviation regulations, and one of them was called operating an aircraft in an airport traffic area without establishing and maintaining two-way communications with the control tower. He ended up getting charged $1,500, and that was it. But he said his quote was, "It was something I had to do. I had this dream for 20 years, and if I had to. I think I would have ended up in a funny farm."
Wow, that's crazy. Artie says another movie is The Cowboys with John Wayne. He's in that.
That's a good one.
And then he says they already celebrated Bill's birthday seasons ago with Ann Richards, and he's saying it's just 1 year later. And then Black Ant says, "Someone's got a birthday, I wonder who," which I just love. That. I love that reference. All right, so we are at the Boomhauer's talking about how great it is that guy went up in all the balloons. Hank says, "Boomhauer, that guy almost died. You can't just strap some weather balloons to a lawn chair and fly to the store for some candy. That's ridiculous." He goes, "Oh, I need to focus. Our biggest propane," like that whole thing is over as far as Hank's concerned, right?
Over, yeah.
It's just completely over. Hank's
that's
like,
it.
Yep, that's it. I got it. He goes, "I need to focus. Our biggest propane sale of the year starts tomorrow. I can't afford to be thinking about helium. Can't afford to be thinking about helium, by the way." Dale's he walks off, and Dale's like, "Yeah, that's ridiculous, Boomhauer." He looks at him, and he's just like, like they're gonna freaking try it anyway. I mean, you knew they were going to, but
yeah, absolutely.
All right, so we're at Strickland, and we see the big banner outside that says "Welcome to Grill Stravaganza" up on top of the thing. Hank is sitting in his truck and he's thinking to himself. So we're hearing his internal monologue, and he goes, "This is it, the grill extravaganza. Okay, let's do it on 3. 1, 2, 3, for the customer." It's like he's got this group of people putting their hand around in a circle in his head. 1, 2, 3, for the customer. It's insane. So he goes inside and he is all jazzed up. He's ready to go for this big grill extravaganza. He comes in, "Enrique, nice clip on." He's walking through, looking good. "Donna, thanks for clearing your desk. I know how much you like your unicorns." And then he sees Joe Jack. Joe Jack is over there. He's got a top hat. He's pulling magic scarves out of his hand. He goes, "Joe Jack, what's with the hat?" "Oh, sorry, honey, but this year I'm going to be selling more grills than you. In fact, your winning streak's about to go up in flames. Abracazam." And then it takes just to say, he goes, "Abracazam," opens his hands like this, and then poof, then finally flames come out. He goes, oh, good God, that's hot. Hank says, "Do you know why I sell them?" Do what?
Some little party trick.
He's got a little flash. He's got the little flashbangs in his hand or whatever. He goes, "You know why I sell the most propane grill extravaganza, Joe Jack? I educate the customer so they can make an informed decision. That's my magic trick." He goes, "Uh-oh, rabbit done peed on my head." Takes his hat off. The rabbit's peeing down his head that was under his hat. All right, we're back at the Hill House, and of course we're in bed.
That's horrible. He's got rabbit piss down his neck.
Rabbit peeing on his head.
Disgusting. Yeah.
Yeah. His only response is, "Uh-oh, rabbit done peed on my head." We're in bed with Hank and Peggy, and he goes, "Boy, that Joe Jack, he's never going to get anywhere until he learns that sales is all about character." She goes, "Well, unfortunately, that's the sort of lesson he'll only learn on his deathbed. No one will buy a grill from a dying man."
It's a little rough.
From a dying man. He goes, "Hey, you know who might get a kick out of learning some character? Bobby. Maybe I'll take him to work, show him how his old man pays for his bath salts." That is a weird thing to say.
That is a really weird thing to say.
They
used to sell bath salts at gas stations, and they say if you smoked it, it would make you want to eat like dogs.
Well, there was a guy here in town that ate his own dog out in the middle of his front yard because he was on the bath salts so hard.
Somebody's face or something. Yeah. Those wild. They said it was like some Chinese research drugs or something.
It's insane. I don't know what it is. We're now at Strickland, back at the sale. Joe Jack is over there doing magic for the customers. And it kind of goes through Bobby became a bath salt zombie. We go through and we're seeing all the customers and the big sale. Yeah. We see the big sale and the
good band name. Yeah. Like for a punk rock band, the bath salt.
Oh, it is a good band name. Yeah, I like that.
Trademark.
He brings Bobby through, and we see the big sale going on and everything. Bobby, of course, sees the plate of cookies, and he's cookies. He goes, "Bobby, that is not a cookie; it's a sales cookie. When you make a sale, you get a cookie, and you get to ring the bell. It's asinine, but it works for some people." And then you see the bell ring, or you hear the bell ring. Joe Jack rings it. By the way, when they came through the door to come in, we get a glimpse of across the street at Thatherton Fuels, and there's a big banner up. Yeah, there's a big banner up over there that says "Meet the girls from Jug Store Cowboy." So these sales could not be
the hell out of grills over there.
Well, I'm just saying these sales could not be any more different from each other. One is just a flat up sale, and you got one guy doing magic, and the other one's got girls in bikinis.
And one guy's got rabbits pissing down his neck.
Well, that's true too. Yeah, I would probably go to the other one. Joe Jack rings the bell and he goes,
or whatever that is.
Joe Jack rings the bell and he goes, "The sale cookie's the sweetest cookie you'll ever taste, honey. Every time I hear a bell, I starts to drooling." Hank points out the dry erase board over there, and he goes, "And this is the sales board. It's like a giant scoreboard at the Masters, except instead of Tiger Woods, you have me." He goes, "You want to make a sale on your first day?" I'm sorry. He goes, "Instead, you have me." He goes, Bobby looks at it and goes, "Wow, cookies, my name in blue marker. What do you want me to sell first?" He goes, "You want to make a sale on your first day?" And he just kind of laughs at it. He goes, "Oh, God bless you, boy. I think you better watch this first." And he goes over to a customer. He goes, "I see you admiring the Wagner line. Why don't you give these brochures a read, talk them over with your wife or a trusted older family member, and come back when you're ready. We'll be here." He just opens the door and lets the guy out right?
That's it. Yeah.
And the customer's like, okay, well, thanks, I guess. He goes, yeah, gives me chills every time. Comes back over to Bobby. Bobby's like, I don't get it. You let him leave. He goes, well, at the end of the month, you'll get it. When my customers return, educated and ready to buy, that leads us to lesson number 1. So straighten up your tie because you're going to meet a lady. He takes him in the back, and we see all these propane tanks on the shelves up there, right? Artie, by the way, says that Jug Store Cowboy is a strip club up the road. Want to meet him? Get $1. And he's absolutely right about that. We have learned about Jug Store Cowboys before. But there is one tank on the floor. It's got a blonde wig on it. It also has 2 little pink shoes with bows on it. It's got a thing on it. They've written on the side of the tank, it says for demo purposes only. And Hank looks at Bobby and he goes, this is Lucy, the wipe tank trainer. He goes, what exactly does wiping a grimy tank have to do with selling propane? He goes, everything. When you talk tanks with the customer, it won't just be talk. You'll have smelled, touched, and tasted more tanks than he'll ever seen. Tasted, I thought was an odd thing to say.
Yeah, well, he's out there licking tanks or what, Hank?
Yes, you got to lick a tank.
Come on, Hank.
Got to lick a lot of tanks before you get Prince Charming. He says, but I want to sell grills. He goes, well, when you're ready, you will. All right, now what you do is you wipe her from head down to her feet. And Bobby wipes it wrong. He goes, no, Bobby. Remember, head to feet, you won't cause a leak. Feet to head, everyone's dead. Which I think you talk about a great T-shirt. Just a propane tank, maybe a little fire over it or something, and it says head to feet, you won't cause a leak. Feet to head, everyone's dead. That's a great T-shirt right there. All right, so now we're back with the boys. We see 15 weather balloons. They are tied to a lawn chair with Bill in it. Bill, for some reason, is wearing a full suit and a tie. He's got his binoculars ready to go. Yeah. There's sandbags on this thing, and Dale is tying it to the back of the Bugaboo so that he won't just it won't just fly away. Black Ant says, did Hank lick a tank to create Peggy? That may just be exactly what happened. Yeah, maybe he licked a tank and Peggy was born.
Conception theory.
Yeah, it's kind of like every time a bell rings, an angel gets its wings. Every time you lick a tank, and Peggy appears. So we're back with the 3 guys, and he's tying it to the Bugaboo, and he goes, all right, tank tethered. By the way, his license plate is Texas plate, of course. It's LXD352. I don't know if it stays that way throughout the entire series, but it is LXD352. Bill says, I'm going to be floating with the angels. Well, that pretty much means you're dead. Dale starts loading a gun. He looks at it and he goes, what's that gun for? There's a small to large chance. There's a small to large chance you'll develop high altitude pulmonary edema, which means your capillaries will fill with fluid.
That's another good band name, pulmonary edema.
That's true. Your capillaries will fill with fluid, preventing adequate oxygenation, a spiral of worsening hypoxia, leading to a slow and painful death. He's done some study on this.
He did a little bit of research.
Yeah.
I don't know
Bill
how
says,
much. He
says all that.
A little Google.
He says all that, and Bill goes, I don't think I want that. Well, no shit, Bill. Yeah, you don't want that.
No, you don't.
That's why I got the gun. If you start feeling any shortness of breath, rub your belly, and I'll give you one of Dr. Dale's 38 caliber pain pills. What the fuck?
God,
he's just going to kill him. He goes, what?
Yeah.
He goes, don't worry, I'm a good shot. Remove the sandbags. Boom, Howard. He removes the sandbags. Bill starts to float a little bit. He goes, it works. He goes up about 3 feet, and he looks around and goes, oh, it's so beautiful up here. You're 3 feet off the ground, Bill. That's all.
He ain't high up yet.
So then he's talking to Boomhauer, and he goes, okay, when we release the second tether, Bill should gradually float as planned, or he will sail uncontrollably into the stratosphere. Bill's just like, huh? He goes, cut the cord, Boomhauer. Boomhauer cuts it. Bill starts floating away. He's very unsteady, starts to hang off of it. He falls off. He's hanging on to it by one hand. We think Bill's going to fall. Honestly, Bill should have just taken one for the team, fallen off of this thing right away, and he would have been fine.
Immediately.
Because he was like 5 feet in the air. I mean,
it wasn't even 5 feet. He'd be all right. But now
he wasn't even over the house. Like it was anyway. He's hanging onto it by one hand. And Dale says, he's giving the signal. Stick out your chest so I can get a clean shot at your heart. I mean, Jesus. Bill says, "Oh, I made it." He says he's giving the signal, stick out your clean, and Boomhauer goes, "Oh man, you did dang old signal rope, man." So he's trying to use the escape rope. He reaches for it, starts to climb down. He falls off. He's hanging by one foot upside down on the thing, and he goes, "Oh, I made it. I'm all right." And then he starts floating away. But he's banging into the fence. He's banging into the Bugabago. He's banging into the trash cans, and you just see him kind of float away. It's not great. He goes, "You're not doing it right." He's screaming, bang, 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 help, help, help. Boomhauer goes, "Hey, man, I think better shot the balloon on, man." He goes, "My eyes." And he's just, dang old Bill's gone, man. He just starts floating away, right? He shoots at him a few times, misses it, hits a sandbag, so he floats up even further. So once again, Dale has screwed Bill, and he doesn't really care.
Old Bill's gone, man.
Yeah, he just gone, man. He said, "My favorite part is the sawdust falling in Bill's face with him spitting and shrieking." Yep. They treat Bill so shittily. Okay, so it's nighttime.
They don't do him justice. Poor guy.
We're at the Hill House. Bobby is sitting there at the table. He's trying to R. McLean says, I don't know if you mentioned it, but Bill's scenes are a different animation style. Oh, I didn't know that. I didn't realize. I don't guess I noticed when I was watching it that it was very much different. But maybe we're talking digital versus actual animation.
Yeah, that's what it is. Where Bill accidentally tied to the lawn chair and then he floats off or whatever.
Yeah,
that's it's digitally inked and painted.
Yeah. Oh, cell animated, he said. All right. So it's night at the Hill House. We're sitting at the dinner table. Bobby is trying to reach over and grab some chicken or some food, and he goes, "Ow, ow, ow." He goes, "Congratulations, Bobby. That pain you get is from not taking shortcuts." Well, that's not really great. Bobby gets up. He's just like, okay, doesn't even eat or anything. He just goes away depressed. He's got that sad Charlie Brown walk, where he's got his head down and kind of shuffling away. He goes, I think he may really, he's talking to Peggy. He goes, I think he may really have what it takes to be a great propane salesman. Look, Peggy, he can barely make it to his room. And then you just hear, he goes, "Oh, he can't." Because that Bobby just passed out over there somewhere.
That's it.
All right, we're at Strickland. Bobby is working with he's in a closet and he's working on some gauges. Like, I guess he's recalibrating the gauges and stuff. Joe Jack passes by and he goes, "Hey, Joe Jack, my dad's making me calibrate all these flanges. Does this flange look calibrated to you?" He goes, "Oh, beats me. Never learned that stuff. I just know about moving product." He goes, "Wait a minute. Then why am I stuck here doing all this? All that bunk about learning the fundamentals is just a way to get me to do his grunt work?" He comes out to the sales floor and goes straight to a customer. "Good afternoon, sir, madam. May I help you with one of our fine products?" And these guys look at him and they're like, "Well, do you actually work here?" He just keeps on selling. "Yes, I do." Buck and Hank see Bobby both at the same time, and they both start heading over to Bobby. Hank's like, "Bobby, no." He gets over there, but Buck gets to him first. And Artie says that Joe Jack used to be a driver supervisor. So he gets to him first. And by the time they both get there, he's already down on one knee talking to Bobby. And Hank comes over and goes, "Buck, I apologize. This won't happen again." He goes, "Hell, I hope it does. He just sold a Char King." He goes, "He what?" Hit it out of the park on the first bat. He goes, "Bobby, I'm deputizing you, sales boy."
Sales boy, yeah.
Yeah.
I'm deputizing you.
He writes his name over on the dry erase on the sales board.
But is he going to pay him? Is Bobby just doing this pro bono or what?
Yeah, he's not going to pay him. And Hank says, "But sir, he doesn't know about the fundamentals. He didn't sell a grill. Someone bought it from him. He's not ready." And Bobby looks up at his dad and goes, "Hey, Dad, what's this sound like?" And he goes, "Ding, ding, 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 ding," ringing that bell. And he goes, "Sounds like I'm ready." Bobby does this to himself every time. He builds himself way up and then he comes crashing down later. But we'll see how that plays out. That is our first commercial break. We'll take that and we'll be right back. There we go.
TaxAct knows small business owners can sometimes use a little help with their taxes. That's why TaxAct has Expert Assist, a team of live tax experts ready to answer any questions you may have. Think of them as your own personal sidekick. Not like one of those funny talking animal sidekicks, more like the super smart nerding out on tax code and business casual attire sidekick, but just as helpful and lovable. TaxAct. Let's get them over with.
At Sephora, we've got what you want because you're obsessed with your skin and we're obsessed with what it needs. Sephora has the best products to help you get beautiful, glowing, radiant skin. With an extensive, inclusive range of results-driven formulas and in-store beauty advisors to help you find exactly which are right for you, the best skincare is only at Sephora. Sephora, for all your skincare.
Right back.
There he is.
There
You
he
got it.
No,
and then
I
we
was
go-
zoned out. I was reading the script and I was like, "Oh, Mike stopped. Where is Mike now?" And I was
You
trying to
go
find
to
out
it.
where you were at, but you were saying something else.
You're fine. You're fine. We had to get to those urethra stretchers like Black Ant referenced.
That's crazy.
All right, so we are back. There are only 9 days left in this grill extravaganza because we see the sign in the background. Bobby comes up and kisses a cookie, and Hank says, "Beginner's luck is a curse, Bobby. If you don't learn the basics, you'll just be another also ran instead of a still running." Man, he read that on a motivational poster somewhere.
Yeah, motivational poster with a Corvette on it.
Yeah, he says, Bobby says, "Well, doing those basics might be your way, but it's not my way. You're going to learn your lesson, Bobby. I mean, that's all there is to it. I mean, that's how this show works." He goes, "It's not my way. It's the right way." And he goes, "Ha, if only there was some easy way to figure out whose way works better." And he points to the board, and we see Hank at 0. We see Joe Jack at 4, and I'm assuming this is how many grills they've sold. Enrique at 1, Maria at 0, and Bobby at 1. So Bobby needs to watch it. He's getting a little cocky pretty fast, and that's a scary thing for Bobby. So Hank says, "All right, mister, you're on." And Bobby's just like, "Fine." And so now we've got these two against each other. Rusty, I agree. This is a great episode.
Yeah, I like this episode.
Yeah. So later on the sales floor, you see this guy in a cowboy hat, and Bobby's up there talking to him, trying to sell him a grill. And the guy says, "I cook 2-inch steaks. That's my predilection. Is 22,000 BTUs enough for me?" And Bobby's like, "BT what now?" He says, "BTUs, the heat index." He says, "Oh, well, the thing is that," and then Hank is back there behind him, kind of watching what's going on. And he says, "Yeah, I'd be interested to hear that too, Bobby." He goes, "The heat, huh? Well, it ain't going to be as hot as the Dallas Cowboys this season. Now they got a team. Am I right?" And this guy in the cowboy hat, he's like, "What are you talking about? Dallas stinks this year." That was 20 something years ago.
Yeah. They still stink.
Yeah. Bobby looks at him and says, "Which is why you're going to spend Sunday afternoons grilling instead of watching TV." And he goes, "Amen to that, brother." And they high five each other and they walk off. And Bobby gives Hank kind of the stink eye because he's like, "See, I can do it, old man," or whatever. He
feels like he's trying to sabotage him.
Yeah. Now we're at night in a neighborhood. Bill is still kind of floating around in the sky. He has grabbed onto a chimney as he floated by, and he's hanging there. And you hear him saying, "Hello, anyone? Anybody?" A little girl comes out of her second-story window, and just kind of opens the windows and looks out. And she goes, "Santa?" He goes, "No, no." And then she starts to go away.
Yeah.
He goes, yeah. Get your parents. I'll give you a toy. And then he starts to kind of let go, and he starts floating away, and he starts screaming and stuff. And the little girl looks at him and goes, "Goodbye, Santa. I love you," which I just thought was very funny. I don't know.
Yeah, I think it's funny.
We're back at Strickland at the grill extravaganza. Bobby is talking to a customer while Hank listens, and he says, "Plus, with chrome reinforcement, you don't have to worry about blowing up." The customer's like, "Blowing up? What, grills blow up?" He goes, "Or just the cheap ones." Hank comes over and he's like, "That's not true, sir. Every grill we sell here is absolutely safe and of the finest quality." He goes, "Oh, are they?" He says, Bobby says, "Oh, are they?" He goes, "Joe Jack, what do you think about the non-chrome grills?" And he looks at Joe Jack, and Joe Jack goes, "What, the Widowmakers?" I mean, I don't understand why they're so into this, but whatever. And Hank says, No, I have all the safety information. The customer says, "Thanks, but I'd rather not take any chances. I'll go with the chrome one." And they walk off. Joe Jack comes over and does a half mark on the board for him and a half mark for Bobby. They split a cookie because those two got together just to beat Hank, which is
got a sale, though. They got a sale.
Yeah, that's nuts to me. So let's see. R. McLean says, "Wonder whatever happened to Roger at Strickland." Artie said Roger is shown in a later episode, the MySpace episode, where he gets busted by his wife for drinking after being sober for a time. And he says, "I thought so. I wish I could have seen this in the episode too." Artie says, "I agree." Okay, so we are back now. Both of them get credit for a grill, and they leave Hank. Now we're at the Hill House in the bedroom. Again, Peggy's on the toilet tweezing her eyebrows as she talks to Hank, which we don't see very often. We don't see her tweezing her eyebrows.
No, don't really see her grooming herself very often.
No, not too much unless it's something to do with her feet. Hank says, "And then this morning I heard Bobby and Joe Jack refer to a customer as a mark. Every single lesson he's learning is wrong." She goes, "Well, what do you expect? Joe Jack is racking up sales. From what your son tells me, you don't have squat. Children imitate success, Hank. I catch my students imitating me all the time." No, I think they're making fun of you, Peggy.
Definitely.
Hank says, "Peggy, you know my system. I'll have plenty of success when all my sales come in at the end of the month." She goes, "Well, we cannot afford to take a chance, Hank." According to Rob Reiner, noted child source, according to Rob Reiner, these years are crucial for Bobby's core value development. You got to dazzle him with sales or he may never listen to you again. Come on.
Rob Reiner, the guy that did movies and stuff with like Albert Brooks and stuff?
Rob Reiner is the one that was Meathead on All in the Family, and he directed several movies, but he was Carl Reiner's son. He directed Spinal Tap and a bunch of other stuff. She goes, "Pick up the pace." Like she's on Bobby's side, which is insane to me.
Yeah.
And Hank says, but that's not my system. She goes, "Well, get a new one." Shitty Peggy. Hashtag. Now we're back at Strickland. Hank has pulled up in his truck, and once again, it's his internal monologue that he's talking about. And he goes, "Just pretend you're one of those jerks at the sales-a-thon. Okay, on 3. 1, 2, 3. For Bobby." He goes in and he goes up to a couple, and he's going to try to do it Bobby's way, right? Being the schmoozy salesman. And he goes up and he goes, "Hello, I would like to sell you a grill now." Number one, that's not the way you sell anybody anything.
No, not at all.
Number two, not sure why Hank is doubting himself and trying to keep up and be a salesman because he knows that's not the way he does it, but whatever.
Yeah, he tries to do it their way, and it's funny.
Yeah, he goes, they say, "We're just looking." He goes, "Well, look no further." And the lady says, "Oh, great. Here we go." He goes, "Yep, here we go on an exciting journey that ends with you buying a grill." They both leave just disgusted because they don't want to do anything with this. Yeah, hashtag pushy Hank. And he goes, "Oh, you want me to tell you a joke?" As they're leaving.
Being overly pushy. I was like I said, I don't think he was being overly pushy, but he was being dry. Hank is dry. So like you can't be dry. You gotta have personality to sell. Like salesmen have to have like a character to them.
Well, he's just not being himself, and I mean it's very evident. Okay. We're back in the alley with Dale and Boomhauer, and they're just acting like nothing ever happened, but there's no Bill because he was floating around. And he says to Boomhauer, "So I pulled that tooth I was telling you about." Like they're just talking about nothing, right? And then over the little radio, the handheld radio that they gave Bill, you hear, "Arlen, do you read me? Come in, Dale." Boomhauer. He goes, "Bill, is that you? You didn't say over." Over. He goes, "Dale, thank God. I need water. I'm in a tree." He goes, "Be more specific. What town? What type of tree?" Over. And you just hear this crying on the other end. He goes, "I don't know. I fell asleep. Oh, wait, here come a bunch of kids. Oh, thank God somebody came. Hey, you." And then you see Bill. He's stuck in a tree. He's hanging from it like a piñata. Yeah,
except for instead of being full of candy, he's full of shit.
All these kids like start bunching around him. And this one kid goes, "Hey, what are you doing up there? Did Eduardo send you?" He goes, "No, see, the wind changed. I'm just so dizzy." He goes, "How come you're hanging from a tree? You a piñata?" And the other kid says, "Hey, piñata, it's my birthday." And they smack him. And some candy does fall out of Bill, which is not uncommon, I would imagine, that Bill is just full of candy. He goes, oh, no. And the boys start laughing. And then over the radio, you hear, no, quit it, no. And you just hear those boys laughing and stuff. And then Dale says, wow, Bill's new ballooning buddies sound like a hoot. I should have gone first. They just don't care about Bill. Poor Bill. Now we're back at Strickland. Hank goes in his office, and he tends to he finds Buck all sweaty and without a shirt on. He's got his wife beater on or whatever.
Yeah.
And he's going through Hank's drawers in his desk. He goes, Mr. Strickland, I'm glad you're here. You know, I'm usually kicking into gear this time of month, and I promise don't sweat it, old top. You're in a slump. And then he takes him down, and he's walking him down the hall. And he said, now, come on, I still got plenty of use for you. He takes Hank into another room. There's Thatherton. There's a poker game going on, of course, and this is why we all of a sudden understand why Buck is so sweaty and gross.
Yeah, he's losing, probably.
Hank sees him, and he goes, Thatherton. And then Buck says, gentlemen, y'all know Hank Hill. He my number one salesman. Thatherton says, stop stalling, Buck. Where's your bet? He goes, right here. I'm betting Hank. He goes, if you win, you get him for a week. Which,
whoa,
Jesus Christ,
not legal.
No, not at all. Thatherton says, all right.
I would think to bet Hank's labor.
He goes, all right, I call. He goes, but sir, you always bet Joe Jack. So number one, this has already taken place. But
golly.
Yeah. He says, but sir, you always bet Joe Jack. He goes, I can't this time. He's selling. You're crapping a big goose egg. He goes, all right, bets on. Show him. He goes, 2 pairs, 7's high. Thatherton pushes his cards across, says full house. He goes, no, that's where the maces were hiding. And Thatherton looks at Hank and he says, Hank, you stand there and look like a poker chip. I'll come get you in a minute. Hank leaves the room looking very sad. Bobby and Joe Jack, for some reason, are in the hall watching this.
That'd be kind of cool.
He looks at Bobby and he goes, Bobby, everything I told you about sales being patience and character, it's all still true. I didn't show much of either, and now I'm paying the price. Please promise me you'll learn from my mistakes. Bobby's just like, okay. Thatherton takes Hank out the front door. Joe Jack.
How Bobby responds or reacts to Hank. Hank will say some stuff to Bobby, and Bobby's like, in one ear, out the other.
Yeah.
Okay.
Like, okay.
All right. Like,
Joe Jack looks at him and he says, come on, Bobby, there's some nuns out there who didn't know about markup. So they're going to go out there and they're going to try to sell some stuff, again, very sleazily. Hank is headed toward Thatherton Fuels as part of a lost bet. And this is going to take us to our second commercial break. We'll take that and we will be
right back.
Empower. Claire is practicing her breathing for her upcoming yoga retreat in Bali. Has she ever done yoga before? No. But Claire worked with Empower on her savings and investment strategy. She got good at money, so she can be a little bad. Empower. Invest well, live a little. Join our 19 million customers today at empower.com.
Past performance is not indicative of future returns. Investing involves risks. You may lose money. Advisory services are provided for a fee by Empower Advisor Group, LLC, EAG, a registered investment advisor with the Securities and Exchange Commission. Om Namaste.
Clorox Sentiva smells like grapefruit. Cleans like Clorox. And feels like...
Okay, we could be here all day. Try Clorox Sentiva for a trusted clean with long-lasting freshness. Also available in lavender and coconut. Use as directed.
Hey, and we are back for the conclusion of this episode.
We are back.
We are dealing with season 7, episode 16, the Miseducation of Bobby Hill.
While we were on break, somebody in chat here, McLean, said, betting Hank on a 2-pair 7 high is crazy. Betting on a 2-pair 7 high is ballsy anyway.
That's true. Ballsy or stupid, one or the other. There's a fine line there somewhere. All right, so we were back at Grill Stravaganza. Bobby and Joe Jack are still selling like sleazy salespeople or whatever.
Oh, I got a funny poker story real quick.
Yeah, go for it.
So I'm really good at poker. I have a really good poker face. I have a really good, like, I can have nothing in my hand and run the bet up and walk away with the bet and then put my cards down. It'd be absolutely nothing. And I'm really good at it. And I used to go to this bar and play here locally. And it was like a little small game with some people that a buddy of mine knew. And there was this older guy, probably in his very late 50s, early 60s maybe, and he would come and play with us and stuff, and he got really mad. There was the one time I went to play with him, he got really, really, really mad and was like, you can't play with us anymore, because I was up really good and I got up and I said, I'm done. And he was like, oh, this is a friendly game, we just play till a certain time of night. I'm like, nah, the certain time of night is when I'm up. Dude, I'm up. You invited me to this game. I came to this game to win your money. I didn't come to like hang out, hold your hand, and drink beer or nothing like that. I came to win.
Yeah, so they didn't like the fact that you were winning?
No, he didn't like that I got up and left, because usually what they do is it's like a friendly game and they play till like a certain time of night. They play till like 10 o'clock at night. And I'm like, I'm not gonna lose all my money. I'm like, I said, I don't know what y'all do, but when I'm up, I walk off the table and I'm good. I put my money in my pocket and I leave.
Yeah, no kidding. Right? I mean, why wouldn't you do that? So we're back at Grill Stravaganza, and Joe Jack is doing another magic trick in front of a customer. And he says, when I open this handkerchief, your credit card will magically be in one piece. And then he tries to open it, and there's nothing there, even though he says alaka-sizzle. The cards are still in pieces. He goes, oh, geez. And then he just kind of laughs it off. The customer's very mad about it. By the way, in the background, we see a sign that says only 2 days left. So that kind of gives us a time frame of Grill Stravaganza. All right, now we're at Thatherton, and there's some girls in bikinis dancing in a little swimming pool like you would see mud wrestling or jello wrestling or whatever. Thatherton is talking. He's pushing Hank through the place. He's put a cowboy hat on Hank. And he says, this here is our crown jewel, our wet apron contest. You do good by me, and I'll let you work the hose. That's okay. Doesn't sound appealing, but all right.
Good. I don't want to work anybody's hose.
We're back at Strickland. You hear a customer say, you told me I could bang the dents out of my canister with a hammer. He's talking to Bobby. You trying to kill me? He's got what looks like part of the grill, and a lot of it is burned off. So I'm assuming he smacked that thing and it blew up.
Yeah, that's a good assumption there, Mike.
Bobby says, what I meant to say was I'll get the manager. And he goes over to Buck. Buck's over in the corner just counting money in his hand. And he goes, Bobby, I'm not good with unhappy customers. That's your old man's specialty. They ask for me. Good luck, Bobby. And he takes off. Like, he didn't stick around for any of this stuff. Now you've got a ton of customers pissed off. They're all screaming, I want to talk to the manager. They are all just not great. You see the board. You see some of the sales have been erased, so they've had to give refunds. Bobby has no idea what to do. You know that Joe Jack is of zero help at this point.
Yeah, Joe Jack's not much. He's good for driving.
And Bobby says, please be patient, ma'am. I can't find my pen. Joe Jack's so help me God, if you took my pen, I'm leaving. Anyway, he's very pissed off at Joe Jack at this point. The cowboy customer from earlier, Artie says Buck's leaving his customer relations to a 13-year-old.
13-year-old, yeah.
Yeah, the cowboy customer from earlier, he's in there. You don't know anything about BTUs on this grill. It took me 4 hours to cook my 2-inch steaks. He goes, look, free cookie.
Good steak, honestly. A nice slow-cooked steak. Ooh-wee.
Yeah, that's a big-ass steak, too.
Yeah,
the guy goes, cookies, I'm diabetic, and knocks it away from him. They kind of run off. Customers are just clamoring. They're like, get back here, go get him. We now go over to Thatherton, where Hank is trying to sell a grill. He says, sure, this grill is perfect for indoor grilling or heating. And we at Thatherton guarantee that gas will never run out. I mean, he's going through the motions here. He very quietly, as Thatherton kind of walks off from behind him, he goes down to the customer and he goes, he won me in a card game. Get out of here while you still can. The lady, He goes, run, run. She runs the wrong way. He goes, that way, that way. She runs the other way. Thatherton comes up to Hank, and he says, I just saw a jet ski payment run out the door. What happened? He goes, look, I can sell propane upside down and blindfolded, but not with my integrity tied behind my back. There must be some sort of honest work that needs to be done around here. Then we go back over to, we see Bobby. He's run out into the street. He has run into Thatherton now. Yep. He's all the way through. He's looking for his dad. He goes all the way into the back, and he sees a guy hunched down, wiping down tanks. And he goes, hey, mister, have you seen Hank Hill? Hank turns around. He sees that it's him in a cowboy hat. He says, Dad, he goes, what are you doing wiping tanks? I thought that grunt work was only for rookies. He goes, oh, Bobby, did you listen to anything I tried to tell you? The great ones practice the basics.
The basics.
Yeah. Bobby says, so you thought I could be a great one too? He goes, I trusted you with the flanges on your second day. I think that says it all. It doesn't, but okay. Yeah, Bobby says, things are kind of melting down over at Strickland. We need you back. He goes, well, I still got a debt to pay here. Bobby says, Mr. Strickland gave me the $20 to pay Thatherton. So come down to it. He bet on a pair of sevens.
Yeah.
He bet Hank for $20 freaking.
That was it.
Hank, refusing to believe that Buck is a bad guy, says, that must be the first installment. Let's go satisfy some customers. So they go back. Now we go back into the alley. We see Dale and Boomhauer, and they're just standing there, and you hear this scraping and stuff, and you see Bill coming up the street. He's dragging his chair, balloons, all his clothes are torn up, and upside down on his chest, he has spray painted M5K, which I'm guessing is kind of an MK Ultra kind of reference or whatever.
Yeah, maybe.
And he drags it over, and he just dumps everything and goes, your turn. And then he collapses on the street. So now it's the guy's turn, I guess, to get into the death trap in the sky. All right. So we go back over to the grill extravaganza. It is definitely the last day of this thing. And Hank gets in there and he's like, all right, who can I help first? What seems to be the problem? Like, he gets right in there, he's ready to help.
Yeah, he knows he's ready to solve some problems.
Figure it all out. This woman says, well, my tank ran out. It was supposed to be a 50-gallon tank. And he goes, ma'am, that's only a 10-gallon tank. Must have been a miscommunication. I'll take care of it. So he just starts taking care of these people one at a time, just the way Hank would. He's calm, he's cool, he's collected. Some time passes. The last customer is finally leaving. He goes, well, I'm glad that you're now officially satisfied. The customer leaves happy. He goes, oh, that was some day, huh, Bobby? Bobby says, actually, it was pretty horrible. And then you've got Joe Jack over there just watching the clock on the wall. He goes, yep. Ticka, come on, baby. He says, I'm sorry for not getting the sales award this year, Dad. Maybe I should get back to Lucy. It's foot to head, right? He goes, no, everyone's dead, Bobby, but remember, it's head to feet, but we'll work on that tomorrow. Why don't you go lock the door for me? And he throws him the keys to go lock it. And as he's trying to lock the door, or as he's going over to lock the door, Joe Jack comes over and goes, closing time. Joe Jack's the winner and Hank Hill's the loser. He goes, yeah, okay. And we see a customer stick his head back in the door, and it is the customer from the very beginning where Hank gave him a brochure. And he goes, I'll take this one too, Slumpy. What can I do for you? Joe Jack says to him.
Yeah.
And you see the guy look over and he sees Hank and he goes, hey, you're the guy who gave me the brochures. He goes, first time I read them, they made no sense, but then it started sinking in. Hank's like, yeah, it usually does.
It's so funny.
Like
it's so funny that it worked so well. He blew everybody out the water.
He gave him a pamphlet like 9 days ago. And so then we go over to Goober Schmooches, where Hank, Peggy, and Bobby are having a celebratory dinner after the day is over. And Bobby is regaling them with the story of what happened, and regaling his mother with the story of what happened. He goes, so the guy says, I'm switching my trailer park to propane. I need 500 tanks. A minute before closing, you should have seen Joe Jack. He pulled a flask out of his desk and started drinking. It was so funny. Hank, I don't know that alcoholism on the job is funny, but whatever. Hank says, yep, every grill extravaganza is different, but they always end the same. And then we get this slow pan out from where they're sitting in there, and that is their end. We get our credits.
We get it.
I love the way that this one flows.
I like it.
It seems to have a really good flow. I love anytime Fatherton shows up for some reason. It's always he's just the worst person on earth, even worse than Buck, which is crazy to me that anybody can be worse than Buck. But we get the credits, and then after we hear Alaka-Sizzle. That's when Joe Jack does his magic tricks that didn't work. Yeah. But that is it. That is season 7, episode 16, The Miseducation of Bobby Hill from March 16th, 2003.
That is it.
Thank you, everybody, for joining us on this, what has been a little bit of a long recording, but we got it done. And I want to thank you all for being here. I want to thank you for being in the comments.
Yeah,
We've had a lot of people stick with us this whole time, and we really appreciate it. Rusty, you want to tell them where they can find us?
Yeah, you can find us on social media, BWAAAKOTH, and that's at most places. And go ahead and shoot us an email, too, while you're at it, at BWAAAKOTH@gmail.com.
Yeah, and I think that leaves us with basically one thing left to say.
We Matanye.
Yep, that's it. We Matanye indeed. This has been a Rogue Media Network production.